Hey, how's it going, Entre fans? This is Ken Callwood coming to you with another quick fix. And today we're going to talk about something that has been on a lot of people's minds now that Ontraport has a built-in membership site capability. And that is how to set up something like a dashboard where it will show different product access based on somebody's membership. Now, ClickFix can't access tags and things like that directly, but what we can do is we can use fields in order to be able to show and hide different elements, columns, blocks, whatever you want, or we can show different elements and columns and blocks depending on what the value of a field is. So let's take a look at this dashboard. This is kind of a standard setup where you have the product images here on the dashboard, and you would theoretically be able to click on any one of these, and if they're grayed out, well, then that shows that the person doesn't have access. What I would do is probably put a button here as well that would take them to the sales page, or make this object clickable to take them to the sales page. But if they do have access, then it would show a color version of it, and then that would, of course, allow them to access the course itself. So what you just noticed is I have these fields down here to be able to quickly allow me to control this, or if you visit this page, allow you to control it as well, so you can see how this effect actually works. And in the real deal, and I'll show you the setup in a second here, in the real deal, of course, you wouldn't have these fields showing, but they would be on the page either as hidden fields or just hiding them with the shortcodes. And what they would do is they'd pull the value from the person's actual contact profile, and that would then show a black and white image or a color image based on what access they had. Now, the advantage with doing something like this, rather than trying to figure out the math involved with how many different combinations of blocks you would need to be able to achieve a similar effect, is that, as you can see, all you really need are basically for a 6-product catalog, you would have to have 12 images. And so let's jump into Ontraport and take a look at the setup here. So all I did here is I have basically 2 rows. In row number 1, I have the 3 different products with the 2 variations, whether it be the color version or the black and white version. And in row 2, I just did the same thing with different products. Now, in that same block, I just went ahead and put these fields in here, right? So that way you'll be able to control it. And anytime you use forms, you obviously have to have a submit button, but we would hide that submit button. Now, there are several approaches to this. One would be to use Dropdowns instead. The disadvantage of using Dropdowns is that you would actually have to have the fields on the page, and you'd have to have some sort of other automation that would fill them out. Because we are not allowed to pre-fill, or there's no way currently, whether directly in Ontraport or from within ClickFix, to detect the value of a drop-down field and have it auto-populate. So that would make it a little bit more difficult to pull this off. So that's why I went ahead and went with text fields. But I can either put them on the page like this, or I could have actually come in here in the form settings and made them hidden fields and then pre-filled their value based on the contact profile. So that would look something like this. So what I call the product access. So it'd be like product 1 access. Obviously, you can't have the same field twice. So let's delete this for a second. Right, I would do something like product access 1, product access 1, and then I would just pre-fill this with product access 1, right? And then based on the value that was in the person's profile, it would then, of course, be able to control the visibility of the black and white element or the color element. But again, we're putting this here on the page, so that way, if you come visit this demo page, you're able to play around with it and just see how quickly the changes take effect, so you can get comfortable with using it. So we'll just go ahead and put that back the way it was. Now, how does this all work? So this all works with our free shortcode system. And basically, we're going to take a look here at the dashboard visibility section. And all we did is we said if field 1970, and the way we know the field values is by using the ClickFix plugin here for Chrome. And we just say, okay, what are the field names here? So field F1970 is product 1 access. So we say if product 1 access is not blank, right? I use the not blank rather than a specific value, so that way You don't have to worry about case sensitivity or anything like that. And this is assuming that in the back end of your Ontraport, all you do is fill out these custom fields if they do have product access. And if they don't have product access, you just leave it blank. It's a much simpler way of programming this. So if field F1970, which is product won't access, is not blank, then show element 21 and hide element 30. So I did kind of the same deal here, right? So you can see that this is basically element 21. So let's say element IDs. So this is element 21. And if it were blank, then it should show element 30. And there you go. And we just kind of do the same thing, right? So if product access 2 not blank, then show this, hide this, and so on and so forth all the way down through product 6, right? And so that just kind of controls the visibility here. And that's pretty much all you need to do. If we had buttons or anything like that, then what we would do is we'd simply say, in the same code setup, we would just find the element number of that button. So let me go ahead and just add a button. So that way you can see how that would work. So let's say, for example, that we wanted one button that was access, right? So maybe something like access. And then we wanted another button. Go ahead and just get that here. And then we'll have another button that we throw on here that is more info or something like that. All right. More info. And let's say we want this one just to be a different color, just so it's very clear that it's something different. Let's say it's that one or this one. All right. So one is more info, one is access, and so now we need to publish this page, and we're going to go find out what the element IDs are for those two. All right. Close this. All right, so now we need to figure out what the element ID is for access. So the access button is 37 and more info is 38. So all I'd have to do is come in here and come into custom code, and I'd say that if it's not blank, then we want to show 37, and if it is blank, then, or if it's not blank, then we hide 38, so that way, and the opposite, of course, is true, which is why this all works. So let's go ahead and refresh here. All right, so you see that it's blank, so this would, in theory, take you to the sales page, right? If it isn't blank, then it shows you the color version and it shows you the access button. And you can see that by programming it to detect whether it's blank or not, I don't have to worry about typing in the whole thing. I don't have to worry about whether it's case sensitive, right? Any value here will do what we want it to do, right? It could be X, it could be whatever. And that just makes it a little bit simpler on the back end. So that way you're just filling out the field with the value, whether that's 0, 1, Y, N, yes, no, whatever you want to do. So I hope that that quick demo shed some light on how I would go about building out one of these dashboard pages. And if you have any questions, as always, please don't hesitate to get in touch with us over at clickfix.io, and we'll do what we can to get you set up.